Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-second gaming, and in today's video we are going to be talking about and breaking down the #1 way for you to climb and gain RP this season. But just quickly guys, if you are here, it's very clear that you want to get better at Apex and grow as a player, and if that's the case, then you need to check out the GameLeap website right now. Over there we have top level coaches that have created hundreds of guides already, with more on the way every single week. We have legend guides, gun guides, VOD reviews, and much more, all aimed at making you the best Apex player you can possibly be. We also have a brand new Catalyst guide out already, so click the link in the description, pick yourself up a membership, and start to improve today. But okay, with that out of the way, let's hop back into climbing in ranked. And there's one major thing that we need to talk about before we actually get into the in-game strategy, and that is consistency is key. A lot of the times when people go into ranked, what they try to do every single game is get the maximum amount of points possible. They try to kill everyone in the lobby, they try to win the game as well, and yes, that is fine and good, because more kills does equal more points, and if you win the game, of course that does equal more points on top of that. But it is not a consistent way of gaining RP. Say you get some kills and you win the game and you get a couple hundred RP. Yeah, it's a great feeling, it's good, you're climbing. But you try to recreate that every single game, in the next 3 games or so you go negative, you are almost back where you started. Gaining a bunch of points and then losing them all the next couple games is not a consistent way to climb, and this is what gives people the illusion that they're hard stuck, because they do get those big games and then they can't get it again, and it's just a bad cycle. If you can get those big games with those big wins and a lot of kills, then you can obviously climb out of the rank that you're in, but you just need to be more consistent. So how do you do that? Well, let's hop into game then and start with the early game. Now, even before you hop out of the dropship, you guys need to be picking 1 to 2 main spots that you're going to be going every single game. This allows you and your team to know that spot inside out and backwards, how to land there contested, how to fight there, where all the loot spots are that your enemies might not know about, and you'll be comfortable there, and being comfortable in fights is extremely important. Now, for example, the 2 spots that my team lands pretty much every single game is either the Foundry or Alpha Base. We like those spots because there's a decent amount of loot in them. The Foundry actually is packed with loot, and we usually walk out with some pretty good armors and stacked weapons. They have good rotation options as well, and they're pretty easy to fight in when you are contested. And that is the next part of the early game. I do recommend that you drop contested with at least one other team. If possible, take a 50-50. If you were already running around trying to get kills and not climbing, then you should be comfortable in fights, and taking a fight off drop is very important, especially on Broken Moon. Now, if this was a different map like Storm Point, I would not recommend to drop 50-50 because early game fights can be really bad on that map. But on Broken Moon, they are very much needed, and we will talk about that in a second here. Now, some people might be wondering, why do I have 2 drop spots on here instead of just 1? Why are you splitting your time in places? Well, if you're flying over your first drop spot and like 5 teams go there, you don't want to go there. That is way too many teams in the early game. You're gonna get overrun, you're more than likely gonna get third partied, and you're going to lose a bunch of points. So take the loss on that one and go to your backup drop spot. There's probably gonna be less teams there, and you can take a good 50-50. But that is the reason that you want to have 2 different drop spots. Now, you guys can take my example and go to Alpha Base and Foundry, but you know, play around with your team, see what you guys like, see what locations you want to drop to, and then go from there. But okay, let's move into the mid game now, and with mid game, do not fight. Let me say this again very clearly so it gets drilled in. Do not shoot your gun at all. Mid games on Broken Moon are very AP, very 3rd, 4th, 5th party heavy, and if you even shoot your gun once, you're going to bring a lot of people on the power rails right to your location. I do like the power rails. I think they're a very unique and amazing thing, but they do bring a lot of third parties into the map. Now, if a team is running Valkyrie and they have the power rails, they can be on top of somebody almost instantly, and the mid game is where a lot of the teams start to die out. One fight can pretty much last the rest of the game, and if you just aren't in that fight, you're probably going to get top 5 just off that alone. That is why taking an early contest is so important in this map, because in the mid game, you don't want to fight at all. You're not getting kills in the mid game, and yes, you are giving up some points that way because you're not getting as many kills. Most of the teams are dying out, but again, consistency is key. You don't care about these kills, you care about getting the placement points, because those teams are just going to keep piling onto each other, and if you were in that fight, you're probably going to die, you're probably going to lose points, and you're not going to climb. Take the free RP. Now, some of the rotations in the mid game can be a little bit daunting because there's a few spots that people might have to go that they don't want to go, but usually in mid game right now, it's only zone 2 to 3, and those zones don't actually hurt as much as people think they do. You can still survive a long time in there, especially if you have heat shields. So if you want to rotate somewhere, don't be afraid to eat some storm damage. Throw some heat shields down, heal up, get around a spot that you need to, and go from there. Now, also, every single map in this game has sort of like a triangle of death or a circle of death, or just areas that you want to avoid. World's Edge is around Fragment, Olympus is around Hammond Labs, Stormpoint is around Cascades, and on Broken Moon, it is all of Promenade, right in the middle of the map. You do not want to go there at all. Avoid that place like the plague. My team never steps foot in Promenade if we don't have to. There's literally 0 point to it. If you get held up by a team, that is very bad because your rotation is going to be chalked. You're going to be bringing in a lot of other teams that are trying to get to Promenade to third party, and guess what? You're going to die. You're going to go back to the lobby. You're going to lose points. Not good for consistency. Avoid Promenade. But okay, now that you've avoided Promenade, you've made a good rotation. It is endgame. What do you do now? Well, you look to pick off kills. You look to take safe engagements that aren't very committed. You poke at teams, you do a little bit of damage, and if it's super isolated, like if you're on the edge of ring and there's only a couple teams left, then you can look to do a full engagement, try to wipe them up quickly, but treat it as a normal fight. If it takes more than 15 to 30 seconds, it's more than likely going to get jumped on by another team. So you might have to disengage, loop around somewhere, accept the fact that you're not going to get those kills. It's better in the long run, and just wait. Maybe another team is on their way and they start to fight the team that you were originally fighting. Well, you can loop back around and be the third party then and just wipe up all the kills. A lot of the times people hear the strategy, they think I'm telling people just don't fight at all, sit in a corner, wait for everybody else to die, and that's not really the case. Take your kills in the early game, take your kills in the late game, but the mid game is so AP and third party heavy that it's just a death trap. But early game to late game, you can really start to mop up a bunch of kills and get a decently high kill game. Like with my team, we are still on average able to get 10 to 12 kills a game, and that's an average game. So we get more, we get less, but again, consistency. It's a great way to climb. I've watched people go from gold to diamond in one day doing this strategy. If you guys are able to actually implement this into your game and play as a team, you will definitely start to see some improvements. And working on this over time, you might be able to perfect it and even climb to a new peak rank potentially, be that platinum, diamond, masters, or even predator. This strategy works against the top players in the game, so it'll definitely work throughout the different levels as well. But now I have a question for you guys in the community. What type of rank strategy do you like using the most? Let me know in the comments down below. I have a feeling that I know the answer already, but you know, I'd love to hear you guys' opinions. And with all this being said, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did and you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming, and I will see you in the next one.